Hello and welcome back. And today I would like to talk about the current energies that we're moving through right now and what we might be feeling or sensing, or how we are kind of navigating this particular time around the equinox. I am also going to tie in a message from a card I pulled this morning, which feels deeply aligned with what I sense that many of us are experiencing right now. And the equinox in the calendar is a point of balance where daytime equals the same time at night, so equal day, equal night time. But I know for myself, energetically, it can often feel anything but balanced. It can feel quite kind of all over the place. I know that that's what my energy feels a bit like right now. And if you're also sensitive to energy, you may be noticing this in your own life. And there's been specific kind of bodily sensations that I've really noticed recently in the last week or so, that have been kind of building and shifting. But they might be things like you might be sensing some head pressure. I know for me, I'm sensing that mainly on the left side of my head. It just feels not a headache, it's just kind of like a gentle pressure, like I'm wearing a tight hat or something like that, but it's only really on the left side for me. Also, you might be experiencing sinus congestion and kind of mucus related things, lots of sneezing, ear pressure or ringing in the ears, hearing higher frequencies, or louder frequencies. You might be feeling tired but maybe wired at the same time. So when it gets to, oh, finally I can go to bed, I feel so tired, then you might be just feeling, really wired while you try to get to sleep, which is really annoying. But it's when our system is updating and recalibrating to the new energies. So it's a kind of, the equinox always acts as like a threshold point, a real accumulation of the energies, the old energies that are now being released and new potentials that are beginning to come online. And I know that some people talk about this as timelines, and an old timeline shifting out of an old timeline and into a new timeline. And obviously we do this individually, but we also do it collectively. And all of this really linked beautifully to a card that I pulled today, which was called the Volva of Sidir from the White Light Oracle deck that I mentioned the other day. And at the heart of the card, it speaks about inner spiritual power and that the ability that we each have to influence our lives. And as we influence our lives, we then influence the world. And we do this in far greater ways than we might realise. And I've spoken about this many times. We sometimes feel like we're just operating in isolation, and that what we do really, we might think, well, it's not really making a difference, and I should be doing more or whatever it is. But just our frequency and really tending to that is what really makes a difference in the world. And it's not that we need to hustle and push and force or control or try to dictate outcomes, but it's something much more refined, and it's about inner alignment. And I know that I go on about this a lot, but I feel like it's just so incredibly important. So the inner alignment, but also once we have that inner alignment, then we're able to place our attention in areas that are conducive to our growth. So, and this again ties in with the conscious redirection of our own energy when we feel like it's being siphoned away. So, as we know, we look at the world and there's lots of intensity, the division, the conflict, the uncertainty, and it's very, very easy for the mind to try or want to work all of that out in a logical way, decide what should happen, decide who is right and who is wrong and what needs to change. But what I really liked about this card today is that it just brings a really deeper truth to it. So even when our intentions are good and believing exactly that we know what should happen, what's right and what's wrong, that's often the voice of the ego and not of the soul, because our soul understands something much more than the mind. The mind just cannot grasp the concept of what the soul understands often. And that is that there is a greater intelligence at work. And our role is not to control the unfolding of what's happening or to fight against it, but it's to influence it through the frequency that we choose to embody. And within the card, it talks about an egg, and the egg representing infinite potential, new life, a beginning that's not fully taken form. And this, I feel, is exactly where we are right now. And you might feel like you're at this point in your own life too. So we might feel it individually, but we're also seeing it collectively. We're in a space where something new is being birthed, but it's still forming right now. It's still in that sensitive stage of becoming. It's still responding to the energies around it. And this is where we all come in. Because if you're drawn to this message, and if you're listening to this and you're resonating with this, you are going to be somebody who is sensitive to energy, someone who feels very deeply, and someone who carries a natural connection to the heart. And the message in the card is very clear today, and it was really kind of reinforcing that your energy is crucial. It matters. Your presence matters. Your inner work matters. Everything that you've done and experienced matters. It's got you to this point right now. And it also talked about, in the Norse tradition, the Volva didn't work alone. She worked within a community. And in a community, when people come together with a shared intention, something very powerful happens. And that energy that you've cultivated amplifies. The focus strengthens. And this is where the real transformation becomes possible. And now we're beginning to see that in different ways. We're seeing people coming together, new voices coming to leadership that were not there before, that are definitely, you can feel it when you hear them speak, heart-centered beings, which we've never had really before in positions of real kind of leadership and guidance for the collective, if you like. So even in politics and things like that, which I really don't get involved in, but I have seen a few new people that I just energetically feel are definitely more heart-centered, which is really amazing. So lots of us might be now starting to find other people who are of a similar frequency. We might not be feeling quite so crazy in this world because we're connecting with other people. And obviously YouTube and social media has been great for that, and really bringing those energies together, even across the globe, which is so exciting and amazing. And together we're holding space and we're creating new ways of being. And this is part of the shift that's happening on the planet. And there's also a level of responsibility that comes with it, which is what the card reminds us of, is that good intentions alone are not enough, but we must bring also our awareness to what's happening, but also be willing to look within, to notice where we individually, because everything within is a reflection of what's happening without. So where are we within ourselves trying to control or manipulate or force any outcomes? And I feel like this energy of the last few days, as we come up to the equinox, has really been getting us to dive deep into those really kind of ingrained patterns that have been there probably for lifetimes. And it's quite subtle how they operate, because they're so subtle we don't notice them. We're so used to them we don't notice them. So it's kind of like the deeper layers of the work that we do with ourselves that are now sort of coming up to be seen. And by just bringing our awareness to them with compassion and just noticing them and just allowing them really just helps them just to dissolve. They're coming up in order to be seen and so that they can be dissolved. So as we do that within, that then has an effect on the external reality. So we bring our energy back to our heart space, back to love of self, back to truth. And the goddess associated with this energy is the goddess Freya. And she embodies both strength and softness, passion and power. And she's not afraid to face the darkness, but she also doesn't lose her heart within it. And I mentioned something like this in the video, I think yesterday, which was not allowing what's happening to stamp a footprint on your heart, which fits in with what this says here. So not being afraid to face the darkness, but also not to lose the heart within it. And it just feels like such an important message right now. So we're not here to turn away from what's happening in the world, but we're definitely not here to be consumed by it. We are here to now choose to meet it differently, to hold that frequency that's not reactive, it's not coming from that place of fear, and it's not divided, but it is steady, it is clear, it's grounded, and it's heart-based. Because when we do that, we become part of the new foundation that is being created. In fact, we start to form that foundation, which is what we're all doing, which is what I'm so excited about. We become, in a sense, the birth holders of a new way of being. And that doesn't require being perfect. It just simply requires intention, presence, and that willingness to return again and again to the truth of who we are. So if you've also been feeling these physical shifts quite intensely over the last few days, maybe a couple of weeks, if you're feeling a bit unsettled or sensitive or a bit different, just know that you are not alone, and also know that this is not something going wrong. It's probably something reorganizing within you, preparing you for this next phase. So the message for today would be to really be gentle with yourself, to rest when you need to make sure you stay hydrated, eat nourishing foods, and not be in judgment of any old patterns if they are resurfacing right now. Just allow yourself to really see them, acknowledge them, and just allow them to dissolve gently by coming back into your heart. And just really trust that the energy that you hold, the light that you anchor, is contributed to something far greater than you might be able to see right now. And it's such an amazing time to be alive, but also incredibly challenging too. But we're doing this together, and it feels great to be part of a community. So thank you so much for listening. I'd love to hear your comments. I'd love to hear where you're from and how you're navigating this equinox energy. Thank you for listening.